Hello there, everyone. It's Patricia Hayes here, and I am here to continue our mini video series on networking and building strong professional relationships. There have been 2 installments of this series already to date, and this will be number 3. And we'll have, I think we're going to get to 8, I believe so, to make it through the month. And I'm looking forward to it and excited. What we've covered so far, when we're talking about the perceived challenges and myths around networking and building relationships for professional purposes, that can also benefit you personally as well. And we've talked about the happy hour dilemma and how to maneuver those situations. We've also talked about the quote lack of time and how you don't have enough time to do networking and how to address that. And today in installment 3 of the series, we're going to talk about the myth or the challenge of the person who says, "Oh, I'm an introvert. I'm bad at networking. It's not something that works for me." So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And when I say these things, it's, I've said, the perceived challenge or the perceived or myth, because in most cases there may be a grain of truth in it, but most of the time it's not, or it's a perception issue. And so we're going to challenge things that people may believe or assume to be true in networking and building relationships, so that you can overcome them and address them in the way that will be beneficial to you professionally and personally. And so when I say that the introvert excuse, because that's really what it is. It's an excuse based on a personality type, right? The introvert is the person who's, reserved, quiet, maybe shy, maybe legitimately shy, which is different than reserved. That it's like, you put them in the middle of a social situation, and they may just wilt, right? Because or become overwhelmed, and so therefore they have negative experiences about it. But here's the thing, that the truth of the matter is that any personality type can benefit from building professional relationships, from building strategic relationships. It's just a matter of the approach that you take in order to do it. And that is the important thing. So whether you're an introvert or whether you're an extrovert or whether you're an ambivert like myself, I did not realize that as a term until I realized, because I have those moments where I don't want to be bothered, I don't feel comfortable, to the ones where I'm completely, in my space. And so I've determined that I'm probably an ambivert. But the point is, regardless of how your personality plays out, there are ways for you to engage in networking, to engage in professional relationship building in a way that is beneficial to you, but also within your comfort zone. Now, one thing I will say about being in your comfort zone is it's fine to be in your comfort zone, but you do have to have those moments where you have to push the limits a little bit and go a little bit outside of them, okay? So for the introvert, one of the things, because like I said, the main concern most of the time with the introvert is that they're like, deer in the headlights. You put them in the middle of a situation. You send them to happy hour. You send them to an event, and they're just like, oh my gosh, go hide in a corner, spend a lot of time in the bathroom, or kind of try to shrink, yourself in to make sure that no one asks you any questions or whatever. That may be a little bit extreme, because there are some folks who could be a little bit more, but they're not going to be engaging or trying to initiate a lot of conversations. That is one of those things where, first of all, maybe that's not your ideal spot to start with, okay? For an introvert, maybe an introvert should try something that's less overwhelming and less intrusive to their personality type, if it can be controlled. When you're doing these things because you have to for work, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you want to reach out and to try to start building some relationships and being strategic about it, you're gonna have to reach out and start doing some networking, but we're going to look at how to do it. And so there are a couple of strategies that I would highly suggest. First of all is, do not start with, the big happy hour on Friday night. That's probably not going to be beneficial to you. You're going to be miserable. Don't go to the big, luncheon, or the big gala dinner, right? That may not be the place that you want to start. But here's the place where you can start. Small daytime luncheons that are like workshops for associations or groups that host them during the day. Coffee meetings. I love coffee meetings. You will hear lots about them, because those one-on-ones are most of the time so much more effective for just about anyone, introvert or extrovert, because you'll get some quality time in. Now, for people who will say, well, doesn't that defeat the purpose of networking? It's supposed to be about being with a bunch of people. No. Networking does not have to be limited to that. And quite frankly, the way I believe and stress things is that's actually, if your only goal is just to go meet a bunch of people and to be able to say you collected all these cards, that is not beneficial to anyone. If you want to build relationships, you need time. You need to be able to know how to strategically make the most of the time that you have with someone on a smaller time frame. So that's why I say, for an introvert, doing one-on-one coffee meetings or lunch or something like that is very beneficial. Taking a walk with someone 10 minutes around the building when you're on your break. Those can be way more successful and beneficial, particularly to an introvert, than some larger event or something like that, because it allows you to do something a little bit more in your comfort zone, allows you to have a little bit more control, and then to focus on your conversation, to focus on what it is you're trying to accomplish, because that's the thing. You should be having a plan or a purpose. And that's not the negative of like, what can I get from you? But in terms of what's the nature of the conversation that we can have, so that this is something that I can follow up on with this person. And that is something that would be really valuable. So I highly suggest, trying coffee meetings, scheduling them. I do those often. And actually, I use them as a tool or a strategy after I've been to a large event. And then when I'm following up with particular people, then I will ask perhaps to say, hey, if we can get together for coffee sometime so we can have a little bit more time to chat and talk one-on-one. But that may be someplace that an introvert starts, okay? The other thing would be, like I said, lunchtime events. Those are generally good. And I'm not talking about the big giant, lunch and award ceremony. I'm talking about, lunch and learns, workshops, that people that associations or groups are hosting during the lunch hour. Those are generally good, because most of the time those are smaller settings. They may be 20, 30 people, and it'll allow you to get some content. So that's something that's beneficial to you and your workplace, but it will also allow you to observe and to get to know a few more people, again, on a much more intimate level than as opposed to the 300, 400, 500 person gala. Okay? So those are a couple of things that I would suggest for the introvert. The extrovert, they have a great time at parties or big events, because they're the people who can talk to a wall. I'm not that person. I'm kind of the person that stands back most of the time, unless I'm in some space that I'm very comfortable, but I stand back and I observe before I engage. And so, but an extrovert, my husband's an extrovert. I know extroverts, they're literally, you put those people in a room with a group of strangers and they'll be yakking it up before the night's over, and have had a grand time in their own way. But even then, even if you're an extrovert, there's still follow-up, because sometimes you may not have made those personal contacts that you needed to as much. So you will still need to do some follow-up afterwards, so that the relationship can be solidified and you can do something a little more solid with the contacts that you have made. Okay? Now, for the person who's an introvert, and they're like, okay, fine, yes, I can learn how to schedule a coffee, or go to a workshop, but I'm like, what am I still going to do? Like, how do we even get those started? Well, those are the things where you just literally, you get them started from what your list already looks like. If you've been to some conferences, if you've been to some events and you collected some cards of people and you have a few people you're like, it would have been nice to be able to follow up with them, this is the time to do it. That's how you do it. You initiate, and that's the thing you will have to do. That's the sacrifice you will have to make, is being the initiator of some of these conversations. Now, if you happen to be somewhere, you've done it, very quickly or briefly, then that's one of those things. It's like, hey, maybe we can follow up and talk, meet for coffee sometime. And that's a very easy way to do it and to address that. So, but again, when I said, even as an introvert, there may be some sacrifices you will have to make for your personality type in order to, to make it effective and to go ahead and get some success. And those are the things, which is you may need to initiate some of these conversations yourself in order to get it, but it can be done. All right. So, my goodness, 10 minutes goes by fast. We are even over. We're talking about trying to address some strategies for an introvert. But there you go. There's the myth buster on it. You, even as an introvert, are capable of getting some networking done and building relationships. Remember, it's all about building the relationships that will be beneficial to you in the long term, and that you can provide some benefit to someone else. Okay? There we are. There's our little mini video series for section 3, installment 3, I guess I will say. And we will work on the next one. And you can see it next time in a couple of days. And it's going to be posted at 4 o'clock again. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below or message me. Happy to talk with you and follow up with you. And I will also be posting about a great opportunity if you're in the Austin area that's coming up in July. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.